might seem crazy what I'm about to say. Sunshine, she's here, you can take a break. I'm a hot air balloon that could go to space. With the air, like I don't care, baby, by the way. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Here come bad news, talking this and that. Well, give me all you got and don't hold it back. Well, I should probably warn you, I'll be just fine. No offense to you, don't waste your time. Here's why. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like a room without a roof. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like happiness is the truth. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you know what happiness is to you. Because I'm happy. Clap along if you feel like that's what you want to do. Hey, go. Bring me down, can't none bring me down. Your love is too high, bring me down, can't none bring me down. I said, bring me down.
Hey there, and welcome to this episode of the How to Choose Happiness Show. I'm your host, Lauren Foster, and happy first day of spring 2020. It's March 19th. It is the first day of spring. I couldn't resist being outside today, even though it is a little bit cool. And I'm just so happy to be here. I'm happy that you're here. And I hope that everything in your life is going just as wonderfully as you can possibly make it. I know these are challenging times, but we're learning to look for the positive, to look for the opportunities, to look for the gifts in the things that are going on in our world right now. So I'm thinking about changing the name of the show to the How to Choose Freedom Show. What would you think about that? Because, this is what everybody knows, that they want to be happy. That's kind of like a given. It's like, well, sure, everybody wants to be happy, and happy means something different to everybody else. But we also all want to be free, and we might not always recognize that feeling. And so that's going to be kind of a theme that's woven throughout our show today, as we talk about how we want to be free to be ourselves, and how it's our obligation to let other people be free to be themselves too. And how, this can be kind of tricky. We're even going to talk about how this works with your kids, and how this whole generational stealing of freedom thing is happening, and it's our chance to sort of break that cycle. So let us know that you're here. Say hello. Allison is over on the Lauren Gabrielle Foster private page doing a watch party so that all of my friends can be here. And Tammy, of course, is always with us. Hello, Tammy. I love you dearly. So, yeah, say hello. Say hello. Let us know that you're here. Be sure to like the Be Happy First page so that you get reminders as to when we're going to go live, which we do every single Tuesday and Thursday, no matter what. Holidays, rain or shine, no matter what, no matter where we are. If I'm in the car, we go live Tuesday and Thursday for the How to Choose Happiness show. And you can also click on the link in this post and go to the website and look around and see, I'm working on that all the time and trying to make that a fun place for you to go and read some fun things and download some freebies, download some tools and toys that you can play with that will help you enhance your ability to claim your power, claim your freedom, get happy, and then start getting all the stuff that you want, that you only want because you think it's going to make you happy. So we're putting the horse back before the cart, like it's supposed to be. So thank you for being here. All right, so We're talking this month about relationships. We started with your relationship with yourself. We did last week on your relationship with your most intimate partner. And we've also got a link to go back and watch last week's videos, and you can download the MP3s there and just listen to them. And I'm planning to do that every week so that you can always go back to any episode that you want to review, and it will be there for you. So this week we're talking about your next layer of relationships, your inner circle, your family, and your close friends. And when I was sending out the email today, I have agreed to be out in the open and talk about my life and stuff to you and to the public, but my friends and family have not necessarily made that agreement. So I wanted to tell a story of a friend of mine that, let's call her Agatha, and she has this broad circle of friends that are all joined together by their love of, let's say, bird watching. And these people are from all walks of life. They are all shapes and sizes and personalities, and their, political views and any kind of difference that you can think of exists within this group, and they don't care. They all just love and accept each other just like they are, and that they let this common passion, this common love of bird watching bind them together. And I'm always fascinated to be around them and to watch this and I wish I could clone it and bottle it and share it with the rest of the world so that we could all create groups and families and communities like this that are just so full of live and let live and love and let love and let people be who they are and appreciate your differences and allow your differences instead of trying to get everybody to think the way that you do. If you think about it, all of the wars in the world are because one group of people believes in a certain way and they think that everybody else should believe that way too. And if you don't, I'm going to come and kill you. When you break it down like that, how much sense does it make? It doesn't make any at all. So, degrees of separation. There's an amazing book called Connections, and we are going to, not Connections, but Connected. It's written by Nicholas Christakis, that name's hard for me, and James Fowler, and we're going to provide you the link to that. But it's a very fascinating book about how your friends' friends have a tremendous influence on what you do, your behaviors, the effect that life has on you, even if you never have any contact with them at all, because we are so very connected. And all of this that's going on with this current health scare is just evidence of that. In this book, it says that, out to 3 levels of our relationships, so friends of friends of friends, are directly affecting our lives, and that there's only 6 degrees of separation between any 2 people in the world. So that means that you can pick me, and you can pick a physicist in China, and I will know somebody that will know somebody that will know somebody that will know somebody, just 6 degrees that will connect me with that guy over in China who does something completely different than me. So it has gotten to be a very, very small world, and we influence each other a lot. So the big question is, who are you allowing to influence you? And the bigger question, who are you choosing to influence? And how are you choosing to influence them, more importantly? Because, a lot of those choices you're not making. So if you are able to step far enough back to look at the picture of your life and your relationship with your family, the way that you're moving in the world, you will be able to see that every single one of your actions has a ripple, and that ripple effect spreads out into the world. And don't be frightened by that, but take responsibility for it and take joy in it, and make sure that your ripples are positive ripples. So ask yourself those questions. I know we're always full of questions, but this is how we learn. I was talking with someone the other day who was having relationship things, and this feeling kept popping up in her that she didn't like. And so what I taught her was to go, okay, why do you feel this way? Why do you think that? And she still doesn't have the answer, but just asking the question helps her to go, oh, Well, all right, I don't have to feel that way. May not know why. I don't know what it's about, but I don't have to feel this way anymore. So getting curious with yourself and asking yourself questions is such a giant, giant step towards figuring out what you want and who you want to be and how you want to move around in the world. So the book Connected, I listened to it all the way through, even though I got way bogged down in a lot of statistics and the way that all of this affects politics and things like that. But I wanted to get to the end because I wanted to see if it ever said, yes, you have a choice. And you do. You do have a choice. You always have a choice in how you are living your life. All right, so let's talk about arguing. Does anybody like to argue? There might be some people. There might be some people that get in a big, nasty, knockdown, tear each other's hair out argument and walk away win or lose feeling that was fun and exhilarating. And if so, you're probably in the wrong place because from my point of view, there's no winner in any argument. So either you have allowed your beliefs and opinions to be battered down by someone else's, or you've done that to someone. So you've basically said to the person that you're arguing with, no, your way of thinking is not valid, you're wrong, and you should think what I think. How does that feel good? It doesn't at all. So how do we have conversations with people who have beliefs that are different than ours? And we do this by being curious and by being respectful and having always in our minds that you have the right to believe what you want to believe. Now, I'm sitting here doing this right now. I'm sitting here trying to persuade you to believe something that I believe. And I do this because I truly, truly believe that it will enrich your life, and in turn, you'll enrich the world and make the world a better place. But I can't do that by pounding you over the head with it. I can't do that by saying you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. My best hope of being able to persuade you is to help you figure it out for yourself, help you come around to this more empowered, enlightened way of thinking on your own so that it becomes a belief that you grow into instead of one that I forced on you at gunpoint or machete point or cannon point, So this is the thing. You get to choose how you are influenced by other people. You get to choose how you communicate with other people. So are you attracting argumentative people into your life? Now remember, you attract what you are. So take a hard look. And if you are and you don't want to anymore, then refuse to argue. Just don't play. If someone tries to start an argument with you, you just say, that's interesting. And you move on to something else. And eventually the people who really, really want to argue are not going to come around you anymore because they're not going to get what they want from you. So the flip side of that is, what kind of people do you want to attract? What kind of people do you want to hang around with? Now, I don't want to say that you want to surround yourself with people who think exactly like you. How boring is that? But if you are around people who think differently than you, and they think that it's okay that you both think differently and you both get to share each other's ideas and expand your own mind and broaden your horizons just through conversation with these people, how much more delicious and creative is that than going, no, I believe what I believe and I'm right and you're wrong. So do you want to be right? Or do you want to be happy? And do you want to be expansive? And do you want to be free? And you cannot be free while you are taking away the freedom of others. Make sense? All right, so let's talk about arguing with your children. And I tread lightly when I talk about parenting and raising kids, because I've been told more than once, you don't understand, you're not a mother. And my response is always, thank goodness, because for some reason parents get this switch in their head that they're not able to see their children as people. They see them as their children, and they want for them what they want for them. And they forget that that little human being has an ancient soul that has its own wants and its own desires. There are children all over the world right now that see the coronavirus as Santa Claus or snow days because they get to be at home. They don't have to go to school where they're forced into these routines every day and forced to think about things that don't interest them, forced to learn in ways that somebody else has decided is how they're supposed to learn. Now, I get it. We need a way of educating people, and that is a whole different conversation about the educational system. But Isaac Newton was in school at Cambridge during the bubonic plague, and so I found this was my favorite thing in this article, and if you're on the email list, I'll email you the link to the article. So it says, freed from the restrictions of the limited curriculum and rigors of university life, Newton had the time and space to develop his theories on calculus, optics, and the laws of motion and gravity. So there's two lessons in there. One is that, when he got to expand his mind and explore concepts in the way he wanted to, with the freedom to think the way he wanted to, he came up with concepts that changed the world. And the other side note is that because of the bubonic plague, Isaac Newton got to be isolated and create all these things. So good and good and win and win and win, right? All right. So how do we have discipline for our children, and how do we keep them safe, and all of these things? And again, none of these concepts are ever simple. These are all complex, and there's situation by situation things that differ. And so most of the things I'm going to share with you are as an observer and as a child. I definitely have experience being a child and having parents. So when your children argue with you, go back to the first thing that we just talked about. Just refuse to argue. Now, you must take a step back from that and be sure that you mean what you say before you say it. Then you don't ever have to say, okay, well, I changed my mind. You can't be talked out of changing your mind if you were firm in your decision in the first place. Now, my evidence of this is when I was growing up, I was the baby of 6 kids. And the 5 that came before me were mighty rambunctious and keeping my mom and daddy really busy. And so I had a lot of freedom by default because my mom just didn't have the time and energy to keep tabs on me all the time. So I'm eternally grateful for that. So thank you to all my siblings that, defaulted to letting me find my way and learn to create in my own way. But the other thing that happened is, of course, I was a child, and some things I needed permission to do. I needed help. I needed somebody to drive me there, or, that kind of thing. But my mother didn't want me to do anything because she was just tired. She was tired. And so everything that I asked her to do, she said no. Well, I learned pretty quickly that I could talk her out of that. I could argue. I could pitch temper tantrums. I could reason. I could plead. I could persuade. I could wear her down until I got my way, and she said yes. So had my mom said yes sometimes and no sometimes, and yes meant yes and no meant no, I would have eventually discovered that if she said no, there's no point in me arguing because she's not going to change her mind. Do you see? You figure out in advance what it is that you want, and you set yourself up for that. And then there you are. You don't have kids that argue with you because they know there's no point. So, and it's not too late to start. Even if your kids already think that they can argue with you and change your mind about things, we can all learn, especially children. So you can start moving forward. And then, we already touched on the way that we're limiting our kids' freedom and trying to make them into what we think that they should be, and help them live the lives that we think are the best lives for them. Our parents did it to us, their parents did it to them. That's just the way that human beings are. We believe that since we've been on this earth for longer that we know more, when actually the opposite is true. This new soul that has come in here fresh without any of the influences of this world know way more. So it would behoove us to listen to the kids a little bit more and not think that we're so high and mighty because we've been here longer. Because it's not necessarily the truth. All right, so what about arguments with your spouse? How many times have you gotten in an argument with someone that you love and you both just left screaming mad and hating each other, and you can't even remember what you were arguing about? that this is an unconscious reactive type of thing, that something hurts your feelings and you lash back out to hurt somebody back, and then back and forth and off you go. And of course nobody wins in that. So the way to avoid that is to have clear communication. Don't expect your spouse or your partner or anyone in the world to know what you want or what you're thinking or what you need. Tell them. If it's information that they need in order to know how to interact with you, tell them. And, don't get mad at them for not reading your mind. How's that for simple? All right, so that belonged last week when we were talking about intimate relationships. But so let's talk about how we're wanting to force our beliefs on others. We talked about that briefly, and the politics and religion and here lately food and the coronavirus are topics that are difficult to discuss with other people without getting into arguments, because we do get so rooted in what we believe is right, and we forget to open our minds to other points of view. And so usually for me, I usually talk politics with people who are generally like-minded and generally believe as I do, because we can explore within our shared belief system different ideas and different concepts. And I love this quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. She said, "Great minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people." So I love that. You be small-minded and gossip. Be average-minded and talk only about events. Or be great-minded and talk about possibilities and talk about concepts and philosophies and what if amazing things happen. And again, these are all choices. You get to be who you want to be. You get to talk about what you want to talk about. Okay, so there's a story from the Bible that is, again, all about making the choices as to what you think are important. It's the story of Mary and Martha. And in this is in Luke, and Jesus drops by the home of Martha, and Martha immediately begins scrambling around, preparing a meal, straightening up the house, doing all of the logistic things that a visit from Jesus entail. And Mary, meanwhile, plunked herself down at Jesus' feet and was listening and just enjoying and being rapt and paying total attention to this great teacher that was in their home. And Martha got all mad and said to Jesus, "What, don't you see that she's not helping me? Why don't you tell her to help me?" And Jesus said, "Mary's chosen what's important, and that won't be taken away from her." So we have a lot of Marthas in our world that are kind of wearing their Martha-ness as a badge of honor, that we're bragging about how little time we have and how hard we work and how much we have to do and how we have demanded this person's making us do that, and we're wearing this like a badge of honor. And why? Think about that. If something amazing is happening in your house, are you participating in that amazing thing, or are you deciding that it's more important to do the dishes? And always you get to choose. Now, I'm going to add a different twist to this, in that Martha, had she been of an expectant of great things nature, would have prepared in advance. She would be saying, you know what? Somebody important could drop by today. Somebody that I love. Jesus could drop by for a visit. And I would love it if things were already set in place so that when he gets here, I can have both. I can serve him an amazing meal and enjoy his company. So, Marthas, get out of your either or. Either I can have a great house and a great meal, or I can enjoy my company, and get in a yes and state of mind. Be prepared, be expectant of great things, and have both. Get in a yes and state of mind. All right, so Thursdays are for action steps. So, as always, the first step is figure out what you want. If it's easier, instead of just going, oh, what do I want my family relationships to look like? Pick your most challenging one and draw a picture of what that relationship would look like if you could have it exactly the way you wanted it. And then, what are the next steps after that? So, who do you show up as in that relationship? What part can you play in making that relationship the way you want it to be? Now, you can't ever control what someone else is going to do ever. And, don't try. That's the whole point of this, is that if you're trying to mold somebody into who you need them to be in order for you to be happy, not only are you being controlling and icky towards that person, but you're giving away all of your own power. So you're saying, I have to wait until the world behaves this way, or my spouse behaves this way, or my sister, or my mom, or my kids behave the way that I need them to, then you're powerless. And there's not a thing that you can do. But if you decide to be happy first, to figure out who that person is in those relationships, then things will begin to realign themselves in your favor. The argumentative people won't come around anymore. Your kids will decide there's no point in arguing with you. Your discussions about politics, people will begin to understand that while you're being kind and explorative and thinking about things in different ways and exchanging ideas in a rational and calm and loving manner, that you're going to be there. But the minute you start getting attacked for your beliefs, that you're out of there. You're voting with your feet. You're going, hey, that's a great conversation. I'm going to go have a different one. Your choice. You get to choose who you talk to. You get to choose what you say. You get to choose everything that goes on in your life. All right, so if it's easier to take just one relationship, your most challenging, and use that as a template for this work, that's an absolutely awesome idea too. So figure out what it looks like. Figure out who you are in that relationship, and then start showing up that way. All right, next week, we are getting bigger into the relationship as to how you appear, how you affect, how you influence your community and the world at large. There's, in times like these, we have seen, so many people that are stepping forward and saying, how can I help? I have resources, I have time, I have money, I have a car. What can I do to help? And how can I take this opportunity to share and to give back to the world at large? And it's an awesome and beautiful thing. So we're going to talk more about that next week. In the meantime, I hope that you take advantage of the things that are different in your life right now to help you come up with some different perspectives and to find some ways that you can use this challenge as an opportunity to make your life into something even more amazing. So that when we look back at this next year, we're going to go, oh my gosh, we're so amazing. Look what we did. Look what we did with this great challenge. Look what we made from this. We can do it. Absolutely. So I will see you next Tuesday at 11:30 right here. In the meantime, remember that you are free to choose happiness, and you can always choose to choose happy first. Thanks.